I had no idea the British press was so bigoted.
This one's wife. Harry knows how dangerous his family is. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The vast majority of you that watch my videos do so because you enjoy listening to the stentorian tones of your glorious narrator as I explain to you various facets of narcissism. Some of you have a particular interest in narcissism, understanding what it is, how it affects you, and from my vast library of resources, you can understand the different types of narcissists, the way we regard our victims, what you can do about it, how you can protect yourself, and so on. Others of you enjoy the analyses of famous people to ascertain, for instance, when they go under the Tudor scope, are they a narcissist or not? And for those that have been determined to be narcissists, to then thereafter understand why they behave as they do. There's much to gain from this channel, and it helps you understand so much about why people behave as they do, whether it's people in your personal life or people on the world stage. When it comes to this one's wife, you understand that she's a narcissist. And when it comes to the behaviours of this one's wife and Harry, you invariably disapprove of the way that they conduct themselves. I know that some of you will take information from other commentators about Harry and this one's wife. There are numerous on YouTube, and you have your various favourites and news sources, and you will probably read about Harry and this one's wife in mainstream media also, to a greater or lesser extent. As part of this, you naturally have formed a view, based on the evidence and aided by my analysis, that this one's wife is a narcissist, that she's ensnared Harry as a victim who's become a willing victim over time, and the gruesome twosome then engage in behaviours which you now understand why they do as they do. But essentially, you disapprove of the way that they conduct themselves. You have no sympathy for them. You see them as a pair of lying and cheating grifters. In essence, you may well take all of your information from people who are critical of the Sussexes. But there are individuals out there that don't subscribe to the view that this one's wife is a narcissist, that Harry is the victim of a narcissist, but rather that the two of them are the victims of horrible behaviours from the British media, from British people as a whole, from haters around the globe, from the royal family as racist colonialists. You may have come across some of these individuals spouting their observations on X, which is a particularly febrile environment for such observations. For instance, there was somebody who has the handle Anne Boleyn Royal Expert, and rather amusingly is at Tudor Chick, who stated, "I think a lot of people are missing something crucial here. This one's wife and Harry have gone public as a way to ensure that they don't get murdered quietly and easily. They don't want kind words at gorgeous funerals. They want to live and actually enjoy their lives." That was reposted 352 times with 2,100 likes and 44,000 views. So there's clearly a number of people that subscribe to a similar view that think that Harry and this one's wife are at risk of being murdered quietly and easily. And therefore, this is why they've gone public, to counter that. Now I hear many of you shaking your heads and rolling your eyes at that observation. This person is perfectly entitled to put it forward. But what's it born out of? What evidence is there to support the suggestion that Harry knows how dangerous his family is? Because that particular X post found itself on a Reddit thread that's called Harry and This One's Wife Netflix. And a poster there posted the X quote, with the heading, "Thoughts and Prayers Are Not Going to Raise Their Kids," I believe Harry knows how dangerous his family are. And thus, the suggestion is that Harry's activity now is similar to, as I've mentioned in an earlier video in relation to Virginia Giuffre, that is the equivalent of saying, if I'm found dead, it wasn't suicide. In essence, I'm raising all of this now because my family are out to get me. Now, other than the paranoid mind of Harry and the paranoid mind of this one's wife, there is no evidence whatsoever to suggest that any member of the royal family is out to get Harry to the extent of wanting to murder him. There is no evidence at all. There's no evidence to suggest that they are dangerous. But where does this view come from? Do they just pluck it out of thin air? And it is sometimes useful to understand the mindset of those that are opposed to you, so that you can also understand what could well be influencing Harry and this one's wife as they take succour from attitudes such as this. You, as I've explained earlier in this video, will probably move amongst critical accounts that are pointing out the flaws and ridiculing the Sussexes. And therefore you may not necessarily come across pro-Sussex accounts, threads, articles particularly often. But it's useful to understand that they do have supporters out there, and it's also useful to understand the basis on which they try and put forward their arguments. One commenter writes, "Let's be honest here. Harry just let us all know what we all suspected. He did it in such a manner that needs to be studied by PR teams for years to come. Harry and his team are amazing." Well, so far, so much waffle. He found out. He knew but had no proof. Well, that's paranoia. I believe he has proof now, although you don't mention what it actually is. And this interview showing openness for reconciliation is a great context for letting them and all of us know he knows. And don't mistake his kindness for weakness. Platitudes, a bit like this one's wife. Harry's a real military veteran. Well, with plenty of people who disagree with that. He ain't no weak-ass punk. Willie also knows this, and that Harry picks his battles. At first I thought that interview was a bad move. Now I'm rethinking it, and he's outplaying them for filth. Don't mistake Harry's brilliance like I did. Well, so what is it that Harry knows that you all suspected? That his family are dangerous, but what do you base that on? That comment there was high on fluff, low on actual evidence. And it's little wonder that if that's representative of the mindset of certain supporters of Harry and this one's wife, that it emboldens them. Because particularly somebody like this one's wife, comments which fit with her narrative are going to be viewed favourably by her. Furthermore, Harry, as a dimwit and absent of critical thinking, is wanting yes people to agree with him with regard to his paranoia. And yet, that comment that I just mentioned gives you no evidence whatsoever. It is just based on supposition. There is no tangible or credible evidence that supports the suggestion that Harry is in danger from his family. Let's see what else is written. Somebody wrote, "Sorry, I've been out of the loop, but what did I miss?" Not snarky, I just generally missed something and trying to get up to speed. The same person whose comment I mentioned earlier on replies, "Harry informed us that they never wanted to protect this one's wife from the start, letting us know in inference that, like his mother, they pulled shenanigans with security for spite." Well, that's just regurgitating Harry's opinion, which is based on what? Nothing. "One of the Queen's dying wishes," writes somebody else, "was that Harry and his family's security be maintained. She absolutely understood the danger her grandson was in." Really? That's the first I've ever heard of that being one of her dying wishes. Is this nonsense that's made up? It gets 117 upvotes, so there are others that believe it. Somebody else writes, "People who don't think they are in danger are ignorant to just how crazy some people can be. My brother is just an everyday normal guy and has a violent stalker. It's crazy and horrifying. Basically, my brother's ex-wife dated an unhinged guy. She left the boyfriend when he got violent. Now he stalks both him and his ex-wife. He's currently in jail, but turns out he has a history of stalking, so this isn't the end of the story by a long shot. If someone like my brother has a stalker, you bet your ass M&H have 100, and stalkers do unhinged stuff. Memory unlocked. Remember when somebody broke into the palace and got into the Queen's bed? Well, it may well be the case that prominent individuals such as Harry and this one's wife will have stalkers, in the same way that other members of the royal family may well have done so. But that doesn't fit with the suggestion that Harry knows his family are dangerous. And there are a number of comments. There are some 45 in all on this particular thread that caught my eye. But the point is, the proposition is put forward that Harry knows how dangerous his family is, but there's not a shred of evidence to support it. And somebody who is of low cognitive function, like Harry, driven by paranoia, finds there are other individuals that think in a similar way, that they don't look at any evidence and they don't test it, and they simply regurgitate Harry's own suspicions as if it was fact. And this becomes dangerous because it then becomes self-perpetuating. People agree with me, I must be right. I'll say it again, they agree with me, I must be right. And it's dangerous activity. But it's useful to highlight that this is what is going on, that there are those that seriously think that the royal family are out to do him harm, even though there is absolutely no evidence to support that. And it's little wonder that someone like Harry, egged on by his wife for the purposes of control, thinks in such a suspicious and paranoid way. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.